And church is going to be coming up, guys. How y'all doing? It is Friday, July 22nd, 2022 AD. And gonna have a fun loosey-goosey Friday show, I think. It's 9:01 a.m. U.S. Pacific Daylight Time here in Los Angeles. And lots of stuff going on. I'm gonna talk about the so-called Supreme Court getting more and more and more corrupted by these females. And they're not decent females. The most decent of the females, the least indecent of the females, is that Republican lady. And I use the term lady. Yeah, I mean it. Well, I don't know, actually. Come on. And I'm going to talk about pastors, too. There's this pastor who was featured in the New York Slimes, the failing New York Slimes, and he shared his weaknesses with a female journalist over on the New York Slimes. And he's, like, bragging about it. He's like, they wrote a little piece about me, or they had a little interview with me. Oh, gosh. Lord. And there's some pastors in Christianity Today who say, don't give up on seminary, you have to go to seminary for ministry, to be a minister. Give me a break. So lame. And there's a lot of mess about baby killing going on and the invasion going on. Ooh. Attacks on the cops, especially the white male cops. I notice, for some odd reason, it seems to be the white cops, the white male cops. Disease is coming back. Thanks, Obama. It's ridiculous. All that and your calls if you would like to call in. But anyway, guys, let's get right on with the show.
The Hake Report, the Hake Report, la la la. Oh, it's the Hake Report, the Hake Report, la la la.
Hey guys, I hope you're enjoying the original The Hake Report theme song by AJ Gallardo. And the other version is Monday through Thursday by Trevor Wesley. Very nice.
The Hake Report, the Hake Report, la la la. Oh, it's the Hake Report, the Hake Report, la la la.
So, how y'all doing? I am fine. Lord Bibby 42 is disagreeing with my t-shirt choice. Hake, y'all gotta step up your shirt games. Hassan putting y'all to shame. Shame! Shame! I like this shirt. I'm wearing this. It's 100% cotton. I'm not sure I like how this part sticks out. Whatever. Maybe I need to grow into it. Imagine? Dang. But this is the big stick. USS Iowa, it says right here in script. Cursive. 1943 to 1984. It's a battleship. Harbored right down here, somewhere around there. In where? San Pedro. Yes. I got this, I want to say I got this in 2014. May of 2014. What's that holiday that's in May? Memorial Day? Something like that? Beautiful Memorial Day. And I got a couple of t-shirts of the USS Iowa. Cool battleship. It was decommissioned, and you can go and tour it. You can go and tour the USS Iowa. And, it's nice to be patriotic. We used to I've been to San Pedro before. Ports o' Call. Visit the Spruce Goose and the Queen Mary. I don't know if the Spruce Goose is still there. Maybe it's moved. The Queen Mary, the Spruce Goose is a plane, and the Queen Mary is some boat. Oh, so anyway. Yes. Very cool. Ports o' Call. I took when I was a kid, I think I turned 7 or something like that, and a family friend took me on a helicopter ride. Not that kind of helicopter ride. I survived. Hassan says, I love Howard Hughes. Yeah, I think they moved the Spruce Goose. Yeah. Howard Hughes is the guy who came. Did he build the Spruce Goose? How do you know about that? Dang, that's cool. It's Friday, everybody. We are indeed going to have a loosey-goosey, not to be confused with the Spruce Goose, loosey-goosey Friday show. You can call in 888-775-3773. I do want to get to this pastor from the New York Slimes, the failing New York Slimes. Trump calls them the failing New York Times, and Mark Levin calls them, my competitor, the New York Slimes. Very high verbal IQ on that guy. Dan White Jr. tweeted, "Here it is! New York Times first-person interview with Lulu, a woman named Lulu Garcia-Navarro. He talked to a woman, a female journalist. That's double trouble. Journalists by nature are female-minded, female-spirited, seemingly, by and large. More so than seemingly even the general public. Per capita, we're talking about, right? Right? Dan, this is my theory, that they're a bunch of liberals. I guess that's not a theory, that's a fact. Dan White Jr. was a pastor in New York for nearly 25 years until the stress of trying to mend the chasms. Is it chasms or chasms? C-H-A-S-M-S. Or either okay. Somebody correct me. Within his church led to his physical collapse. So he couldn't take the heat. I might use the term pastor loosely, indeed. Real Mr. D. And they say, listen here, opinion. A pastor ripped apart by our divided country. Oh, gosh. They're acting like he's Jesus. Makes me want to spit. It's ridiculous. But I won't spit inside of the Jesse Lee Peterson's studio here. America is burned out, says this writer or summary writer for this, what would you call this? For this podcast. America is burned out between the stress of the pandemic. Excuse me, the pandemic didn't stress you. The fear-mongering and the unnecessary shutdowns by the female-minded media is what caused that stress. And the weakness, the fear of the women have fear, you know, and the female-minded males too. Growing polarization. Oh, who could have done the growing polarization? Who indeed? Oh, it's pronounced chasms, people are saying. Declining trust in institutions. Who could have declined the trust in institutions? There's a legitimate decline to trust in institutions, and there's illegitimate decline to trust in institutions. Because the people who are, oh, my trust in humanity was hurt by Justice Clarence Thomas. Clarence Thomas is like the reason that you should have a little bit of trust in decent men. Many people are near their breaking point. The feeling is particularly acute for those who have traditionally been society's bridge builders, teachers, healthcare workers, faith leaders. Why do they call them faith leaders? When did that term faith leaders come about? At one point, they were called pastors. Yeah, you cannot super chat on D-Live. You haven't been able to do that for, like, ages. Only on Streamlabs or Odyssey, Odyssee. teachers are not bridge builders. Healthcare, so-called healthcare workers are not. They've never been bridge builders. Increasingly find themselves in the crosshairs of our divisions. New York slimes, communists. So you can listen to this episode of First Person promoting this broken-spirited pastor, so-called pastor, on Apple, Spotify, Google, or whatever you get your podcasts. Dan White Jr. was a pastor in New York for nearly 20 years, but he's weak. How embarrassing, huh? And he tweeted that thing out himself, all proud. I don't think that that's what Paul meant. What is it, Paul who wrote this? I will boast in my weaknesses. I don't think he meant this. Paul said we are bent but not broken. Stuff like that. We are beaten but not broken. Something like that. He said a bunch of different things. Paul in the Bible, I know a couple of you guys don't like Paul. You think he was a Jewish subverter of Christianity or something like that. I don't agree with that. I think Paul was a Christian. Dan White Jr., co-founder of the Kino Center. KINEO Center.com. The in front of it. Author of Love Over Fear. Love never ends, right? It never fails. Always hopes, always perseveres. Don't know. Don't know about this pastor. Seems like a nice guy. Born in Naguabo, Puerto Rico. He tweeted out in 2018 his pinned tweet. It had 2,000 likes. Maybe that's why he pinned it. Christianity would change overnight if it put down the mantle of defending God and picked up the responsibility of loving enemies, he said. This interview released yesterday. Oh, but don't harass this man or male, people. Brandon M. No, Brandon M can. But the rest of you cannot. Brandon M does it with love. Dan White Jr. tweeted an hour ago, this interview released yesterday got me 2 handfuls of hate mail. So that's fun. I was really having a hard time believing that something I loved so much had done so much damage to me, he tweeted. What a mess. Places of worship meant to unite are fracturing in an increasingly divided America, writes the New York Times opinion. It's led to a new movement, the Great Pastor Resignation. Wow. And the New York Slimes is celebrating. He became a burned-out pastor. On today's episode, they tweeted yesterday, of First Person Dan White Jr., born in Puerto Rico. I wonder if he's Puerto Rican or part Puerto Rican or like a missionary's kid or both or all three. Dan White Jr. tells host Lourdes G. Navarro, how he became a burned-out pastor. You shouldn't tell a woman, and you definitely shouldn't tell the media. Isn't that interesting? My childhood ministry call, 25 years as a pastor, my neighborhood activism, CPTSD. What's CPTSD? Is that church PTSD? Burnout, my healing, and shifting church expectations. I wanted to crawl into a hole, but I'm still hoping it breaks open space, he says. Interesting. Sounds like a liberal to me. That's what it sounds like to me. Love over fear. Facing monsters, befriending enemies, and healing our polarized world. The war between conservatives and progressives has split our world. We're aching for the path beyond snap judgments and the hate we feel towards each other. We are looking for the path of love, he says. You believe him? I might believe him. He's an author, a pastor, and a coach. Kineo Center. Kineo Center is the name of his thing. if I'm pronouncing it correctly. Co-founded with his, presumably with his wife, Tanya. Anyway, so that's weakness in the church. And here's another pastor little story. This one is interesting. I thought I might share it. This is from Christianity Today. Christianity Today. Far left enemies of the Christians, Christianity Today, if I remember correctly. Did Christianity say something like impeach Trump or something like that? I think they did. Christianity Today, Trump. Trump should be removed from office, wrote the Christianity Today writer Mark Ghali. It's time to say what we said 20 years ago when a president's character was revealed for what it was, he said. It's his editorial. Trump should be removed from office. So it's a fake Christian outlet, right? Christianity Today. And they wrote this. Some evangelicals think of seminary as an increasingly unnecessary obstacle. Seminaries have become corrupt, full of the LGBTIQ mess, full of the social justice mess, the fake, race, anti-racism mess. Trust me. But an MDiv student, Masters of Divinity student, think about that. You get a master's degree in divinity. A master's in God. That's what divinity means, right? God? Something to that, having to do with God. An MDiv student at Gordon-Conwell, I presume that's a school, on why that's misguided. The article reads, pastors still need seminary degrees. Christianity Today. Despite recent trends, formal theological training still plays an important role in the evangelical church. By Noah Carger. And this guy named Zach Hunt, he is a blue checkmark on Twitter. I don't know if he's a Christian. Doesn't seem like a Christian. He says, if you have a pastor who thinks education is an unnecessary obstacle to ministry, it's time to find a new church. What? What? It's this guy who's like bald, kind of chunky, bearded guy. He's a writer based in Tennessee, according to him. And he wrote a book he links on Amazon called Unraptured, How End Times Theology Gets It Wrong. He put that out in 2019. And he said, I read a book at the library about a homeless refugee, and it groomed me into a woke social justice warrior. Oh, okay. Now I get your drift. By education, he means indoctrination, phony indoctrination. Nothing wrong with college, Hake, writes Frankie BLM, who I used to see him on YouTube, and now I see him on Twitter. Twitch. Shout out to Twitch. I wonder if he got banned by my mods on YouTube. I'm not sure. But don't ban him. Unless he's vulgar. Oh, so he's an SJW. He doesn't know anything about education. Yeah, might be Mike's brother. You're right, Lord Bibby 42. I shouldn't have made that joke. But anyways, if you have a pastor who thinks education is an unnecessary obstacle to ministry, it's time to find a new church. Talk about, can you say elitist? Phony elite. Like Trump said, they're not the elite, you're the elite. Trump said that. You're the elite. Because you know how all these people who are politicians and government employees, they're in the deep state, or they are media people, they have all these degrees, they're in academia, and all that mess. They are called the elite, or they're super rich. They're commie capitalist CEOs or HR people who can fire you for being conservative or being white or being too manly or being too truthful as any type of person. They think they're the elite, but Trump says you're the elite. This guy thinks that you need... Am I reading into it too much? Maybe he didn't mean this. Is he thinking that education is a necessary obstacle to ministry? I don't know. Shameful. There's this Reverend Weston Pendergrass, M.Div., Masters of Divinity. Oh, gosh. And this is not a black. He literally put Reverend Weston Pendergrass, M.Div., in his Twitter name. And he's not black. Is this affecting the whites even? Man, is that a normal white? He wrote, scary. Another chunky guy. Well, I don't know. Sometimes people's face can look swollen, right? Scary. He says, that's scary. For me, it is the unreasonably high cost of education that is the obstacle. Being unable to pay for it or pay back the cost of the education we want pastors to have is the conversation many of us should be having, but are avoiding. Frowny face. And Zach Hunt says, oh, 100%, the cost of education has gone way out of control. And then you have churches not hiring candidates because they have school debt for following the course of study that the church/denomination told them to pursue. It's completely insane, and yet you're still pushing it. So shameful. Anyway, conversations. Yeah, I know, huh? Talk about a liberal word. Or, I've heard other people talking about conversations. Reverend Weston Pendergrass, M.Div., ordained elder of the United Methodist Church. Oh, okay, that's Hillary Clinton's church. Methodist. I don't know if she's United Methodist, but she's so-called Methodist. Serving in South Carolina. Graduate of Duke University School, McMurray University. Geek. You could say that again. Nah, is that mean? I don't want to be mean. But anyway, that's that for the pastors. How about not tout your accomplishments and all that stuff? I don't know. Seems like a whole lot of like I said, elitism. Elitism is different from being actually elite. Egotistical. Blind and brainwashed, thinking that you know what you're doing and you're not. This guy became a social justice warrior after reading in a library about a homeless refugee. I think that's a pretense of talking about Jesus, because Jesus, the Son of Man, has no place to lay his head, and he fled to Egypt. I don't know if his dad or his earthly adopted father, whatever you want to call it, Joseph, Mary and Joseph. Joseph had Mary and Jesus. They all went together to Egypt to get away because they were warned by an angel. I don't think they counted as refugees. I think Egypt let them in. I don't know what the situation was, but they call that refugee. So, and he thinks that made him an SJW. Is that the Bible that he read inside the library? Did he have to go to the library to read the Bible? Not to be too elitist, but I think you can get a Bible and read about Jesus, especially in New Testament, for free. All types of places. All types of places. So, I don't know about that. This fake religion that these people it's an imitation of Christianity that these people have. No power in it, no realness in it. A false imitation, grasping at straws. Yes, no offense to the Methodist folks. Are there any decent Methodists out there? I would assume so. I know that the Presbyterians went for the so-called same-sex marriage thing. And I grew up in a Presbyterian church, but it was a pretty conservative one. And we weren't into being Presbyterian. We would just go to any old church. It happened to be where my grandma and grandpa went and taught at Sunday school to little kids, by the way. Methodist, first four letters, meth, says it all. Trump, Nate Higgers says, Trump is a Shabbos goy. That means he's a guy who serves his neighbors, his Jewish neighbors, when they're taking their Sabbath. So that, you know how they can't do certain things on the Sabbath? He'll do that for them. That's nice. Isn't that nice? Maybe. I will get to your super chats, guys. Oh, hey. I will get to your super chats. In fact, I should get to them now before they disappear. There's a lot going on. On Odyssey, odyssey.com/@the Hake Report. Did I? Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, I read that one from Brandon M. That's funny. The color of the super chats over on Odyssey has changed. It's throwing me off. Taking care of business writes over there on Streamlabs, no, Odyssey, odyssey.com/@the Hake Report. Did you hear, Hake, did you hear about the guy who, or that, tried to stab GOP New York governor candidate Lee Zeldin? I have not heard a lot about it. I did see a headline or two. I know that Lee spoke out for the first time like today. I think I saw a headline yesterday. The guy walked on stage, according to Taking Care of Business, with a knuckle knife, was arrested, and only charged with assault and released on his own recognizance. I can post a link about the story. Feel free. Thank you, Taking Care of Business. I did see how, like, he had loose shorts, baggy shorts, kind of sagging. It was this chunky, purportedly white guy. Looked sort of white anyway. Nowadays, you can't tell, right? Certainly didn't look black. Or even really Hispanic, I don't think. But Lee Zeldin is running for governor of New York. And I think Lee Zeldin, he's a U.S. representative right now. I knew I'd heard his name before. 42 years old, married to Diana Zeldin, has a couple of children, daughters, it looks like, Ariana and Michaela. Born in 1980, 42. Attorney, oh gosh. There are some good attorneys, though. Politician and officer in the U.S. Army Reserve, Republican, served in New York's 1st Congressional District. Is that upstate? I would have to assume it's upstate if he's a conservative and he won, right? Lee Zeldin. During Donald Trump's presidency, Zeldin was a staunch Trump ally. He prominently defended Trump during his first impeachment hearings, false impeachment. In relation to the Trump-Ukraine, it was not a scandal, but Wikipedia calls it a scandal. Falsely, of course. It was a perfect phone call with Volodymyr Zelensky about Biden. And correct me if I'm wrong, doesn't it seem like Trump's concerns about Biden and where's Hunter seem to be proving correct? Or am I wrong? Zeldin, is that a Christian? After Trump reportedly lost the 2020 presidential election and made reportedly false claims of fraud, Zeldin voted against the certification of Arizona and Pennsylvania's electoral votes. And April of last year, he said he wants to run for governor of New York. Wow. Nominee of the Republican Party and of the Conservative Party. Defeated 3 challengers in the primary. Huh. Interesting. So he spoke out about it, but I don't know what the motivation was. But there's a whole lot of liberals who are off the deep end with their hatred of the country and conservatives, thinking that they're right, you know? Like JLP has said, the devil doesn't know that he's the devil. Alleged Lee Zeldin attempted attacker charged with a felony immediately released just as the congressman predicted. Representative Lee Zeldin took to Twitter. This is from Fox News. Hat tip to taking care of business. Took to Twitter to say he believed his suspected attacker would be instantly released under New York's laws. And indeed, apparently he was. With a sharp object at a campaign stop in Perrington, New York. Anybody know where that is? Thursday evening, charged with a felony and released within hours of arrest, Monroe County Sheriff's Department said. David G. Jakubonis, age 43. Oh, so he's older than him, but he looks immature. Looks like an overgrown, immature person. We have a lot of those. I raised my hand. Identified as David G. Jakubonis, Jakubonis, charged with attempted assault in the second degree. I don't know, if you stab him enough times, it could be attempted murder. But anyways, but he didn't stab him, fortunately. But would he have tried to kill him? Who knows? I guess that may be hard to prove. His words as he tried to stab me a few hours ago were, "You're done." Several attendees, including Esposito for New York, quickly jumped into action and tackled the guy. Nice. This is what Lee Zeldin tweeted, I think. Law enforcement was on the scene within minutes. Within minutes. Luckily, the people, men of the area were there because law enforcement arriving within minutes would be after this guy is already bleeding to death. Lee Zeldin, had the attacker not been tackled. Or Lee Zeldin may be capable of defending himself, but a guy with a knife or a sharp object, you don't know what they can do. They can cut you and you can bleed a lot. And you can, like, go to sleep, you know, because you... That's what I've heard. Because you're bleeding so much. You can't survive too long, or you can't keep up your rigor because the blood is part of what's keeping you alive and energetic. Law enforcement was on the scene within minutes. The attacker will likely be instantly released under New York's laws. He was giving a speech about bail reform at Veterans of Foreign Wars Post, VFW. Shout out to VFW. We love you guys. VFW posts, where the alleged assault happened. Bail reform. Was he speaking against it, I hope? I don't know. His right hand came up, I assume, out of his pocket, and he had a blade in his hand. One person, Joe Chenelly, who's the AMVET's national director, who tackled him, by the way, Jakubonis. His right hand came up, I assume, out of his pocket, and he had a blade in his hand. His fingers were like 2-finger holes in the blade and lunged at the congressman. Congressman Zeldin blocked the first lunge. Nice! I guess it pays to be an Army Reserve, huh? And then as he tried to lunge again, I grabbed him from behind and tackled him to the ground and held him on the ground. Nice. Shout out to the veterans. Some of our best people. And there's a lot of no good veterans too, let's be honest. So don't be all, oh, thank you for your service, to these people who just go and join to serve themselves. We all know that they do that. It's true. Oh, my son was a Muslim and he died in service to this country, but I'm going to support Hillary Clinton or not support Trump. So you're not pro-America if you're not supporting Trump. You know, these people. Oh, I'm a Gold Star father. Trump is attacking Gold Star fathers. Here's the Constitution, holds this Muslim liberal. Anyway, Zeldin released a statement after the attack. Thank you to everyone who reached out following tonight's attack in Fairport. Someone tried to stab me on stage during this evening's rally, but fortunately I was able to grab his wrist and stop him for a few moments until others tackled him. I'm okay. And Esposito for New York and all the attendees are safe, and the attacker is in custody. Grateful for the attendees who quickly stepped up to assist and law enforcement officers quick to respond. I'm as resolute as ever to do my part to make New York safe again. Nice. Right on. Lee Zeldin. Basically Zeldin. No, I don't know. Ooh, yeah. Oh my gosh. Hey, there's a photograph of this. I gotta show this to you. It's so cool. I've been talking about it so much. A picture is worth. This guy, he looks like he's wearing this vet. I wonder if this guy is a veteran. Let me drag this screenshot into the folder. Screenshot dragged into the main part of this folder. It's an AP headline. And you see Lee Zeldin holding the guy right below the wrist. And the guy has like this thing. And he has it over his arm. And Lee Zeldin, GOP nominee for New York governor, attacked at a rally, writes Michelle Price, a writer for the far-left Enemies of America AP, Associated Press. Here's the headline and photograph. Look at that. Ooh, boy. I saw in the arrest video, I was looking at arrest video footage. This guy had shorts on, baggy shorts, and you could see like the top of his boxer shorts or whatever they were. Boxer briefs maybe, like underwear. And then like later they're all the way down below his knees. The shorts are, the outer shorts, you know, the proper shorts. And you can see his whole, I'm like, those are short shorts. What are you doing out there in public like that? And they're putting him in the police cruiser. Anyway, wear a belt, dude. Or, I don't know, maybe they had to take the belt off of him because you can't have a weapon. Maybe the belt could be a potential weapon. But it's crazy, huh? Whew. Anyway, I don't know much about this Lee Zeldin guy. Is he supported by Trump? He might be. I thought that I saw that he was. Lee, taking care of business, says, it doesn't matter what the motivation was. The fact that he was released hours after arrest is absurd. Yeah, that's true. I didn't even catch that. And that place where they were was up by Rochester, wherever that is. Is that upstate? Hake doesn't know geography, especially not New York geography. Anyway, some more super chats. Thank you, taking care of business. It's insane. The stabber is a supposed war vet, says Mike Gibson. Yeah, there's decent war vets, and then there's liberal war veterans. And, you know, ones who are, like, angry and out of control. And there are some angry, out of control ones who are, like, decent. There's some decency down in there. They just need to snap out of it. JLP has helped a lot of those guys. He's interviewed some of those guys, too. More super chats, though, for you, before I get to calls and everything. Hang tight, callers. If you're on hold, stay right there. Someone says, excellent Bond Sunday service, church with Jesse Lee Peterson from this past October 10th, 2021 AD. JLP comments on remaining friends after breakup, whether that's a good thing or a bad thing. And they give a time. Someone gives a timestamp, 1 hour and 5 minutes and 16 seconds to 1 hour and 6 minutes and 10 seconds. So it's less than a minute long. This little section of this, and he links to the YouTube. This someone, he or she, links to the YouTube video from 10/10/21, October 10th, 2021. The Mind is Wicked, church episode stream. And that section is when JLP says to watch the mind. And he talks for maybe a good 40 minutes. Watch the mind. Watch your thoughts. It's just before he talks with somebody about having, like, no father figure. It's toward the end of his talking about watch the mind. About this whole thing about remaining friends. And I don't remember what he said about it. I do not remember. Let me click onto the blog post, because or the Substack post from, let's see, we start around 11 a.m., so 1:06, let's see, did we start at 11 a.m. on time, roughly? 10:58 we started, so 1:06 would be 11:04-ish, 12:04-ish, just see if I have my, I take copious notes. I'm the church producer. That doesn't mean that I set up whatever he's going to say or anything like that. I just write notes and make sure it's put out online. So, I don't know if I have it. The real battle is on the inside, then you can defeat the evil on the outside. Isn't that a good lesson? That's a great lesson. JLP makes that point, I presume. The people or there's other people in church can make that point too. Sometimes they do. The people on the side of evil try to put fear in you in order to control you. They operate in darkness. Anyone who has love, which is of God, has no fear. The teachers, here it is. Isn't this interesting? I just mentioned about these pastors and seminary and all that stuff. The teachers have made Christianity so difficult that nobody has it anymore. If you're dating and you break up, you'll do it in a civilized way and not try to destroy each other. It doesn't necessarily say you stay friends necessarily, but you don't become enemies. You do it in a civilized way. You're not having sex out of wedlock. You're not getting all into each other and all attached to each other. And so you can break up and maybe you do get a little attached because human beings are weak and they don't have the real God as their God. They make other things their God, other people and things, and their own false ego their God. But they're not so insanely out of control that they hate the person. Because people who have sex, afterwards, people will, kill one another over who knows what, cheating or taking away of that thing. People just go out of their minds with that stuff. I notice. Seems like. Lisa says, make a clean break when necessary. Yeah. So, thank you, someone over there on streamlabs.com/The Hake Report. And one more super chat over here. This is a long super chat session. Hold on, callers. I will get to you. Base America First says, oh, what in the world? Okay, Base America First says, my screen went black. 100,000 people die of natural causes. It's summertime. Climate crisis kills hundreds of thousands. Being a journo bot is so easy. By the way, Hake Subscribe Star is great and audio is fine. Hey, nice. Thank you, Based America First. Subscribestar.com/The Hake Report. Check it out. I put a new post just yesterday afternoon. I recorded it. I sometimes may walk the streets holding my cell phone like this, talking to the people. I've done it portrait mode a couple of times, and sometimes I do a landscape. But this time I did portrait mode. There's this guy I watch on YouTube sometimes. Somebody Twitter DM'd me a tip about him, mentioning him. And so I looked him up. His name is Jokel, Deep Left Jokel or Jokel. Interesting guy, Jewish guy. And he just talks to the camera phone thing and makes he's interesting points or interesting ideas anyway. He's a liberal, I think. Deep left. Jewish, you can't help it, But interesting guy. I've been thinking about having him on the show. I just don't know what to talk about with him at this point. But anyway, yeah, thank you. Subscribe Star is hopefully fun. And thank you guys for the support. Yeah, they're scaremongering about the, just like they did with the China virus, just like they did with the, imaginary racism stuff, Black Lives black men are getting disproportionately killed by police. They bring it on themselves. There's also scaremongering about the climate crisis and scaring the kids. I've said this 3 times probably this week. 3 times. That the kids are getting like mentally ill off of the climate scare. Have you heard that? I'm shaking my head about it. I say that it's more than just that, because if they had decent parents, they wouldn't be scared of this. But there is a lot of out of control talk and hyperventilating about the supposed climate crisis. And by the way, there was a little tip over here about tuck in your chain if you are around blacks. That is, don't be having fancy watches and fancy jewelry out on the street. Or if you do, which I don't necessarily recommend, be alert and awake. Yeah. And I do not mean to instill fear, just caution. They say never relax. Well, you want to be relaxed so you can you can have cat-like reflexes. That wasn't very quick and cat-like of me. If you were watching the video where I went, but you want to be relaxed, but very alert. Head on a swivel, but not so swivelly that they knock your head clear around. Anyway, I'm going to get to the Communist Supreme Court, ladies, but first, let me get to Art in Ohio. Turn on the AC, though, please. Art in Ohio on the line. How you doing, Art?
How you doing, Hake?
Doing well. Thank you.
Hey, am I wrong? Am I wrong to say that I'm gangbanging for Father God?
Not necessarily. Gangsters for Christ.
Yeah, I'm gangster for Christ.
Gospel gangsters.
Yeah,
Yes.
I'm gangster for Christ, Hake. I ain't
Right
even
on.
lie to you, man.
Yeah.
And we stay beefing with the devil.
Yeah.
Can't
True.
shake him, man. We stay beefing with the devil or whatnot, man. He allegedly that's our op. We ain't no alleged, that's a fact. That's our op.
Yeah. Right
So
on.
so what's up with your and what's up to my fellow gangbangers for Christ and Father God in the chat too. But
Nice.
long story short, what's up with the Zeldin dude or whatnot, man? I'm trying to figure out how do you support Trump so much and you don't see the times that we in? I mean, I'm pretty sure he ain't trying to put no more of his little Jackie Chan, Bruce Lee karate chops to the test anymore, blocking any knife, you know what I mean, knife attacks towards himself. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah,
So,
I think you need more security than just. I mean, the good thing about a veterans is they're not all a bunch of cowards. Like the average place is a bunch of cowards, right? But a veterans place, you're more likely to get at least 1 or 2 or 3 who are not cowards who will step up and protect you and look out for the people. And but still, you do want to be on the lookout.
Well, who we have out there? Lawrence Taylor. He had the linebacker for the Giants back in the day.
Oh, really?
No, I'm playing. Hey,
Oh,
man,
okay.
go ahead, man.
You had me believe in you.
Nah, he better get that is expose a weakness or whatnot. And,
Yeah.
as Alpha see the writing on the wall, you know what I mean? All this stuff where these people running up on stage
Yeah.
and trying to hurt these politicians or whatnot, especially the ones that are really conservative. Obviously, something about him that they don't like. And I mean, if he's rolling with Trump, he must be really he must not be a rhino because they wouldn't have tried to attack him like that. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, I think I do. I think I do.
If he was an undercover rolling with Nancy Pelosi and Hillary Clinton and the deep state, they wouldn't be really trying to attack him like that. You see what I'm saying? They don't attack their own.
Yeah, that's fair. I think there's some truth to that. I remember Rand Paul got tackled by his neighbor, and I don't know what the beef was. Rand Paul tackled like from behind by his neighbor, and I think that guy was a liberal. Rand Paul of Kentucky.
I'm pretty sure Rand Paul wasn't gangbanging for Christ neither. I think he's a fence straddler.
Yeah, he is, but he's not quite with. I don't think he's undercover with the liberals. He's just kind of, like you said, a fence straddler, kind of weak.
Yeah.
At times.
Yeah, with the beta back. The beta back. That's why they did that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And, who was that politician that was going against that female that went to Berkeley? And he was questioning her about she was saying that men can have babies, whatever she was saying, men can have babies, and you know what I mean? It was just like a week ago. He was questioning her, and she was acting stupid, acting like she couldn't answer the question.
Oh, I don't remember.
Well, I want you to, if you could do me that favor, is find out and see if you can pull up and find anything else about him, because he seemed like he might be even an alpha. You see what I'm saying? How he was questioning her? That reminds me of something how Jesse do. You know what I mean? Where he breaks the callers down, like that lady called earlier saying that Jesse did something or was ran her away or was antagonizing. No, that's how Jesse breaks you liberals down, so we know where you stand at. And how Jesse does it is the right way. Is that you liberals don't know how to take Jesse. That's what I.
Do you happen to be talking about Josh Hawley? Could it have been Josh Hawley that you were talking about?
Yeah, he was questioning the black lady.
That black lady was from. Yeah, I vaguely remember that. I remember covering this. And she said that was transphobic, a transphobic line of questioning or something. Yeah,
you're right. Yeah, and that's how Jesse be doing. He was just getting her to get straight to the point. And that's what my problem with these females is. Y'all come in with a whole bunch of non-topic issues. It ain't nothing.
Right.
And y'all stick to it. It's like, we got other stuff to worry about. We ain't trying to talk and play that little game y'all playing.
Yeah.
I like him.
Yeah, that was Josh Hawley. I have a little clip on him because the January 6th committee is pretending to smear that guy. I like him. I don't know much about him. I'm not all the way on board with him. I don't know how much I trust him. But I'm not saying anything about him, positive or negative, in terms of that, because I just don't know. I don't remember. But Josh Hawley, a senator, was quote-unquote schooled, according to the media, liberal media, by a Berkeley law professor, according to left-wing outlets. Law professor Khiara, Khiara Bridges, calls Senator Josh Hawley's questions about pregnancy transphobic. And she's this black lady who's a law professor over in...
Hey.
Yeah.
She's a gold medalist, Special Olympics kid. Something's wrong with that girl. She's an applesauce eater. And they need... UC Berkeley need to disassociate... what they used to always say to Trump, denounce it or denounce the Proud Boys or something.
Oh, yeah. He did.
They need to... Go ahead, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
He did disavow Proud Boys, although he said in the same sentence, or the very next sentence, I don't know anything about them, but I disavow that.
Shout out to Trump.
Yeah.
Well, they need to disavow that lady or whatnot, because she is diluting that master's degree that she got from that college, and I'm pretty sure wouldn't nobody want to go to no college like that or whatnot.
Yeah.
If you got airheads like that running around, it seem to want to be pushing a false narrative that's trying to confuse America and the patriots and the citizens of America with that nonsense you talking about. One more thing, and I'm get off here.
Okay.
What was that guy who got the politician who got shot at the baseball field?
Scalia? No, not Scalia. Scalise. Steve Scalise.
Scalise.
Yeah.
I like him too or whatnot. And when that happened to him, it's just like the thing that happened to the dude in New York, the governor in New York, where dude tried to stab him, is that it kind of make me understand that there's two sides. And there's a violent side in this politic, and then there's a Trump side. You see what I'm saying? A patriot side, for America side. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
you know, you can see it if you pay attention or whatnot. Take it, put your little put the glasses on or whatnot. Once you put them on, you ain't gonna be able to take them off. And that's what our Artie Art baby with Father God's help is doing over here. God bless you, Hake. We still rolling with Trump. I'll catch you later, Gator.
Sounds good. Art, appreciate you, man. Steve Scalise. He's kind of hit and miss, in my opinion. He's become sort of establishment. Maybe he always was. Stephen Joseph Scalise, who is American and Italian. I remember he was accused several years ago, maybe more than 10 years, maybe close to 10 years ago, or maybe even more than that, of like going and attending or speaking at a conference where David Duke also spoke, or maybe in the same hotel where David Duke was speaking elsewhere. I don't know. Ooh, David Duke, give me a break. And he was shot by that liberal Rachel Maddow listener, male. How embarrassing. A male Rachel Maddow fan. You got to be off. But Scalise is, I don't know. I feel like I've heard some things that, I don't know. As of May 2022, Scalise still refuses to acknowledge that Biden won the election legitimately. Wow. He supported Trump's position after Joe Biden supposedly won. Well, reportedly, he won, right? Reportedly. The 2020 presidential election. Scalise supported Trump's position by falsely, according to Wikipedia, denying Biden's victory and participating in efforts to overturn the results. Yeah, he was shot and seriously wounded by a left-wing domestic terrorist targeting Republicans at that baseball field, congressional baseball field. Louisiana Representative Steve Scalise is the minority whip, House minority whip. I feel like there was something that I did not like about him. And I don't remember what it was. I don't know what he did regarding some of these other people, who are for what's right. There were a lot of rhinos who were smearing the AFPAC attendees and speakers. AFPAC, I went to AFPAC, America First Political Action Conference. JLP spoke there. Joe Arpaio spoke there. Marjorie Green, the Queen, spoke there. So I'm not sure, but for sure there is evil in the world. And evil does attack evil, too. Yeah, I covered that law professor from Berkeley who called Josh Hawley transphobic. Ridiculous. Is transphobia a legal term? Somebody called her an affirmative action or a diversity law professor. This black female from Berkeley, Kiara Bridges. I covered that last Thursday, the 14th. FYI. What a mess. I'm going to get to these communist Supreme Court ladies. I'm going to get to Josh Hawley and Trump, his outtakes. Some of them might be kind of fun and cool. They try to make it as though it's a bad thing. The phony January 6th committee, it's ridiculous. But first, now is time for some music. We're just about at the top of the hour, guys. And it's time for some Xiu Xiu. Xiu, Xiu. 2 words. Xiu Xiu. And this is from the album The Air Force from 09, maybe? I don't know. It might be from 09. The Air Force. It's the name of the album. It's called Bishop, CA. Bishop, California. You ever anybody from Bishop around here? Anybody ever been to Bishop? I've been there. Fishing with some buddies. Not that I am into fishing. My buddies are. I just go to hang out. Had some barbecue in Bishop. And you drive through Bishop on the way up to Mammoth, California. It's a nice kind of a desert town. Has a reservoir with water. And you can fish there. And it's cool. So, and this track is really cool, in my opinion. There's a section towards the end that is so cool. But anyway, Xiu Xiu, Bishop, California, the Air Force. Enjoy or press mute, you musical Philistines, or grin and bear it. And like it. Kids, I don't know if you need to leave the room. Generally you do because the lyrics are rough. But I think you'll be okay. But it's kind of noisy and disturbing. So you do you, kids or adults. And thanks, I'll be right back for the rest of hour 2. Hang tight.
This blue dot of sickly light that is daytime in your embarrassed town burns a hole in the fading yellow ribbon on your fading wine-colored cavalier. The mine has fallen down on you as you tug a well of death, milk and sugar water in brief sympathy with them. When we see the hate in your eyes, it doesn't make us better men. The mine has crushed your brother as he ruined our rotting sky. White hot blast of black hot powder, and you lapse into a real boy. The mine has fallen down on you as you dug a well of death. Tears and sugar water flow in briefest sympathy with them.
You can sense the tension building. It's a cool sound, right? Get ready for your rest in peace earbuds. Nice beach scene.
Should you be ashamed for more than that? Than that your daddy raped you silly? Leaning my head on the refrigerator, crying for the stupid world we share. Walla 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 hey. Walla 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 hey hey. Walla 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 hey. Walla walla hey hey hey. Walla 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 hey. Walla walla hey hey hey. Walla walla hey. Walla walla hey 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 hey.
So cool. Wasn't that cool? And then it has like babies crying. And the babies are crying. Those that survive, those who survive. This is level 12 weird, says Tim Scott. Well, thank you for bearing with me through that beautiful Xiu Xiu song. I thought my dishwasher was malfunctioning. Nope, just Hake's music. Whatever happened to that song, No Monkeys in My Family Tree? That should be played on every outro, James. Yeah, that. I may be coming back with that. That's from the Knights of the New Crusade. Silent prayer music. Well, shout out to Xiu Xiu. They probably disavow Hake, and Hake probably has to disavow their lyrics and their message. Bishop, California. What a great song, huh? Got a super chat for you from streamlabs.com/The Hake Report or via Streamlabs. Mr. Wonderful Bibby 42 says, Hakey, Hake, Artie, Art, and Bibby Bib, gang banging for God. Running wild up in this beast, all in the name of Jesus. Tell him, Art. Well, nice. Thank you, Mr. Wonderful Bibby 42. I appreciate it. And that song was racist. Special birthday song for Hake. So angsty. So much passion just in the playing of the music. Who knew that you could express your anxiety through music or something like that? I don't know. What a mess. Anyway, let me cover this so-called Supreme Court before I get back to calls, guys. The evil communist Supreme Court ladies. There are 3 members, female members of the Supreme Court who are ridiculous. Actually, 4 female members who are ridiculous. And that's 4 female members, ridiculous. And I want to say 2 or 3 male members who are also a bit ridiculous much of the time. Yeah, 3. And then 1 or 2 really pretty solid guys. That's Justice Thomas is the most solid. Followed closely or neck and neck with Samuel Alito. But there's the Obama so-called Justice Sonia Sotomayor, who's evil. Just an evil person. She calls herself a wise Latina. She's not. And then there's Elena Kagan, who I don't think is a Christian, by the way, who is also on the so-called Supreme Court. And then the third Obama justice, so-called justice. It's a misnomer to call them justices. Ketanji Onyika Brown Jackson, the black female whom Biden had pledged to nominate a black female to the so-called Supreme Court. Ridiculous. So evil. Needs to be a white man, a white Christian man of good character. It used to be white people of good character was the our immigration restrictions. Our immigration restrictions used to be more stringent than what we now allow on the so-called Supreme Court. They're not white, they're not Christian, and they're not of good character. I don't know if the thing said Christians of good character, but whites of good character used to be what it was. Our immigration policy. Not anymore. That is racist. Ridiculous. Born in D.C., Ketanji Onyika Brown. She married Patrick Jackson in 1996, not Jansen. She's not Dutch. Shout out to the Dutch. We love the Dutch over here. Dutch is Jansen, right? I think. Those Netherlands people. Holland, Netherlands, but they're called Dutch. They speak Dutch, right? I don't know. So confusing. Obama nominated her to the U.S. District Court for the District of Columbia. So she's an Obama person. And then Biden followed along. So evil. And she's a smiley lady. And I use the term lady perhaps loosely. She's evil. She went to Columbia. Where did she go to school? In Harvard or Columbia or somewhere and protested against this beautiful rebel flag? She joined with a bunch of students and she might have led the protests against the beautiful rebel Southern flag. Evil person. How embarrassing to be her husband, sitting behind her wearing a mask during the confirmation hearings. Embarrassing. So anyway, this is from The Hill, the far left enemies of America, The Hill. Yeah, people claim that they're somewhat right-leaning. No. Kagan, Ilana Kagan, the Obama one, not a Christian, warns, I don't think she's a Christian, that the Supreme Court's legitimacy is at risk if it strays too far from public sentiment. Justice Kagan, Reuters says, Justice Kagan warns the U.S. Supreme Court must maintain public confidence by going along with the blind, brainwashed masses and pretend that she didn't say what she's talking about specifically. Liberal justice, there's no such thing as liberal justice, but this is far left enemies of America Reuters reporting from Big Sky, Montana yesterday. Liberal so-called justice, female, Ilana Kagan said Thursday it would be a dangerous thing for a democracy, which we are not a democracy, so shut your woman mouth. Sorry, ladies. I'm not sorry, but don't take that wrong. If the conservative majority U.S., it's not a conservative majority, it's all fake news. U.S. Supreme Court loses confidence of the American public. You already lost the confidence of the American public, the real American public. I'm shaking my head. Speaking in public for the first time since the court's momentous ruling last month that overturned the landmark Roe v. Wade decision that legalized abortion nationwide. I'm sorry, judges do not legalize anything. Anyway, Kagan stressed the importance of the justices staying in their proper roles as judges and not dictating public policy. I'm sorry, that's what Roe v. Wade did. It dictated public policy. It came up with these fake ideas. And so too did the Casey versus Planned Parenthood or whatever, Southeastern whatever, PA. Those two decisions dictated public policy. So too did the so-called same-sex marriage ruling. Those things dictated public policy. What a lying woman, or at least the way that Reuters characterizes what she said, based on how Reuters characterizes it. She's a lying woman, or she's a dumb deceiver. Maybe not dumb, but a deceiver. I wish you were dumb. Dumb as in can't talk. Dumb means you can't talk, is what we kids always said. Sorry, kids. I'm not talking about any particular decision or even any particular series of decisions, she states. I don't know if I believe you, lady. And I use the term lady loosely. But if over time the court loses all connection with the public and public sentiment, that's a dangerous thing for a so-called democracy, which we're not a democracy. She said at a judicial conference in Montana, of all places. I don't know how Montana even lets her in the state. Where was this woman born? Well, let me see. Kagan. Born in New York City. They shouldn't have let her out of there. We need to quarantine New York City. Nah. Anyway. What else did she say with her mess? A total and complete quarantine of New York City? Overall, the way the court retains its legitimacy and fosters public confidence is by acting like a court. Is by doing the kinds of things that do not seem to people political or partisan. That's what you guys did with consistently pretending that Roe v. Wade was a legitimate decision. It wasn't. Thank God for that Solicitor General who argued some sense into you people. By you people, I mean the rhino justices who voted for what's right. Solicitor General of Mississippi, the based man who is a lawyer. It's an unusual combination. Based and man and lawyer. Nice. Kagan dissented in the so-called abortion case, so she's political, along with the other two liberal justices. I'm sorry if you're calling them liberal. They're not justices, and they're political. You know what I mean, Jelly Bean? Yes, I do, tennis shoe. That's a joke that I learned from some fellow actual white people. Court earns its legitimacy by what it does, by the way it behaves. It would earn its legitimacy by impeaching you. Or the Congress should impeach her. They should impeach Sotomayor first, though, in my opinion. Sotomayor is sloppier than she is, I think. In my opinion. And by the way, Ketanji Onyika Brown Jackson. Sorry, I clicked right into the thing here. That might have hurt some ears. Ketanji Onyika, Justice Jackson. She's not a justice. Dissents in her first vote as the Supreme Court won't reinstate the Biden immigration policies. I mentioned this in Hake News on the invasion. From Commie Nonsense Network, CNN Politics. I thought that this has nothing to do with politics. But they're reporting it in the politics section. Shouldn't it be justice or judgment? Huh. Anyway, Supreme Court on Thursday declined to freeze a lower court order that blocked the Obama cackling Kamala Harris, sleepy Joe Biden, Department of Homeland Security, which is a joke. It's not secure at all, from implementing new immigration enforcement priorities, meaning getting rid of broken windows policing, basically, on the part of the Border Patrol, right? And ICE and all them. In a case marking Justice Ketanji Onyika Brown Jackson, Brown is her maiden name, Jackson, her married name, first vote since joining the court. Jackson and Justices Elena Kagan, Sonia Sotomayor, and Amy Barrett? Amy Barrett? Sorry, kids, but forget these ladies. I didn't know Amy Barrett. The court also agreed to hear arguments on the merits of the case next term in its December sitting, adding another substantial dispute to the court's docket that already includes cases on so-called voting rights. Voting is not a right. Religious liberty and the environment and affirmative action. Court's 5-4 order is a loss for the Biden administration, trying to return to Obama-era policies that limit immigration arrests in order to focus on security risks instead of the more aggressive approach under the Trump administration, which makes it even more secure. Trump was making us more secure. It's true. Homeland Security Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas. Oh yeah, I trust Alejandro Mayorkas to protect the homeland. Whose homeland? Nearly blew out my eardrums. I apologize, Barack Obama. Funny name too, D-Live. It's ridiculous. They pretend that, we want to go after specifically the worst offenders, prioritize them. By saying we're prioritizing them means we're going to only do this and we're going to let as many people slide as we think we can get away with. I'm shaking my head. Evil, huh? So anyway, but that's to be expected, really. I'm going to talk about the babies, dishonest media, the attacks on the police. Georgia, Florida changed the world. Or he was used. His death was exploited by the evil people to change the world for the worse. It's so wrong. But first, let me get to William in California. William, how are you doing? Hey.
I'm doing good, man. How you doing this morning?
Fine. Thank you.
Oh, that's good. That's good.
Nice.
White History Month we need to celebrate Teressa Bellissimo. That's the girl that invented the buffalo wings.
Oh, really? Teressa Bellissimo.
Yeah.
Bellissimo.
Bellissimo. Yeah. Yeah. So, happy White History Month to everybody on that one.
Okay. Is she Italian?
Yeah, more than likely. Yeah.
Yeah, it sounds like an Italian name.
Yeah.
I guess
Yeah.
we'll count that. Will we count that?
Yeah. We can count that.
Okay. Teresa
Yeah.
Guzzo Bellissimo.
Bellissimo. Yeah.
Right on. That's cool.
I sent you a clip of that professor that was talking to Senator Hawley.
Oh, nice.
And she's absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah.
Just like a lot of the black women are these days, the way they're raising kids and these little babies on the streets attacking the police that are like 3 years old. 2
Yeah.
weeks ago. But, that's the product that they put out. And you've got somebody like this professor speaking to Senator Hawley that way. Shout out to Art. He's absolutely right. I've seen it. It's ridiculous of what she was doing, and that's the exact same reason why you don't send your kid to UCLA. You send them to USC. You don't send your kid to UC Berkeley. You send your kid to Stanford.
Yeah.
Because they have the University of California system is really corrupt,
Yeah, it really is. Janet Napolitano was the president of the UC system, if I remember correctly. Was it Janet Napolitano?
Yeah. I'm not sure.
It was some.
But I know you don't want
liberal
to send your kid to
feminist.
any UC.
Yeah.
No UC school.
UCLA.
Don't do it.
I know a ton of people from UCLA. Two
Pretty messed up.
of them escaped perhaps unscathed. 2 or 3. 2 of them are women, and one of them is a man.
Right. Right.
And even that guy, I'm not even positive that he came out unscathed. But yeah. And
Right.
same thing with Cal State, maybe. I know a guy who came out of
Probably
Cal
so.
State, LA. He
Yeah.
fell into the so-called LGBT agenda.
Yeah, San Francisco State.
Yep.
All those. Yeah. You don't really want to send your kid there.
Yeah.
And I see Black Lives Matter. There's a former senator that's running for, I think she's running for something down in Louisiana. Black Lives Matter, excuse me, activist, politician. She's in trouble for wiretapping fraud. And you also got them, it's just a bunch of them. They're not acting right.
Right.
It's just not acting right. Black women are, the quality has completely just plummeted.
Yeah.
Quality.
It
I
really
don't know where
has.
they're from. It's sad. Another one tased because she doesn't want to be arrested. Again, who told the blacks that you can't be arrested?
Yeah.
That.
Yeah,
So,
I know. It's shameful.
what's up with that? I don't know why they're doing these things, and the crime is out the roof in every major city. But I do remember when they first started talking about this defund the police thing about 3 years ago. There's one neighbor of mine that said something that I didn't like it at first.
Uh-huh.
He said, "Let them defund them, and absolutely tear their cities down to the ground." I said, "Oh, I thought that was kind of harsh."
Right.
And then I thought about it, and I said, "Wait a minute. They voted for that.
Right. It's
You
true.
might have a point there.
Yeah.
Let their cities just go down so far so that they could see it themselves."
Yeah. The evil people who are in office, they don't mind a certain amount of destruction. They like a certain amount of
They really
destruction.
don't.
They like it to be somewhat within their control so that they can cast it as not their fault and cast it as though they can swoop in and help you and save you and all that stuff.
Sure.
They like a certain amount of chaos. They
They
don't
do.
like it to be too
do.
chaotic, though, too out of control.
No,
If
that's
they
where
can't-
it gets to their front door.
Yeah.
See, that's when it becomes
Right.
a problem, when it
Or
gets
where
to
they
their
get-
front door.
Or where they get voted out, if the people
Or
wake up.
recalled or whatever, yeah.
Right.
Because when it gets to their front door, it becomes somewhat a very horrible experience from what they say. But
Yeah.
when it comes to inner city people, there is not a democratic ran city in this country
Yeah.
that is ran by anybody of really extremely left and liberal. And
Yeah.
there's not a good city in this country that are ran by those people. There's
Yeah.
not one.
I know.
You heard me? There's not one. And especially if they're ran by women.
Yeah.
So it's not a woman hate woman thing, but if they get a little sore about saying that, tell me it's not a man-hating thing going on.
Yeah, I know. It's ridiculous. They're not honest
Totally
people.
ridiculous. Yes, it is. But you see what they're doing to the kids, how they're raising them.
Yeah.
They're teaching them they can't be arrested. You got this same attitude every day. You look on the news, there's something different every day.
I know.
JB.
To this day. To this day.
Yeah.
Well, you guys have a good weekend. And,
Thank you, man.
Tune into what's the
Nick Stream.
Show. Yeah. Tune in. Everybody, make sure you tune in to Nick Stream. And shout out to the farmers and stuff
I've heard somebody wants me to cover
Red Dirt.
Yeah, somebody wants me to cover the Dutch farmers or something going on with that.
And the farmers are where it's at, man. Like I said, I got a small farm with no land.
Yeah.
Not the amount of land that you can go industrial. I just got a small strip of land in the wine country.
Right.
And I can tell you, man, those guys up there with those wineries and dairies and beef and pork farms and chicken, they are really, they're holding up this thing. Them along with the military, they're holding this thing up.
And the truckers. Don't forget the truckers.
That is correct. Rick and Maine, the truckers. And it's those people who are really kind of holding this thing up. So,
yeah.
Not only do we have White History Month, we need to, really appreciate those guys as well.
Well, next month is Men's History Month, so we will be honoring the men and remembering manhood.
That's right.
Thank you, man.
Not the betas, but the men.
Have a good weekend, William. Take care.
You too, man. You too.
All right. I have some super chats and regular chats that I would like to get to over here before I get back to calls and these stories that I mentioned. Deez. I can't finish his name. Gave a super chat on streamlabs.com/The Hake Report. Thank you, sir. Or ma'am. It's ma'am. Says, I'm enjoying this loosey-goosey format today. Well, thank you, Deez. Thank you very much. I cannot finish his last name on air in front of the children. But thank you, sir or ma'am. I did see an excellent observation or memory from Sneaky Snake Jim. Wow, what a name. There are a lot of sneaky snakes. And thank you. He says, House Minority Whip, Steve Scalise, Republican from Louisiana, said, and this may be the issue that I had with him. Okay, so listen up, Art from Ohio. Even though we do like him, we still like him, but we don't appreciate this quote. Steve Scalise said, quote, according to Sneaky Snake Jim, there is no place for hate, unquote. Following Representative Steve King's, Republican from Iowa, comments questioning the terms white nationalist and white supremacist as offensive. And he actually didn't say just those terms. He says Western civilization, white supremacist, white nationalist, whatever, right? And that was a mischaracterization of what he was saying. And anyway, even if you were saying that, I'm sorry, I thought this was America. Because how are you going to say, a white nationalist, or somebody who is a white and a nationalist, or who is even an ethno-nationalist, is hateful? You're hateful. You hate the whites' right to be white. So, Sneaky Snake Steve Scalise, huh? Not standing with a guy who he was one of the best. Or at least he was right, Steve King. So maybe that was why I had a bad taste in my mouth towards Steve Scalise. It was that or other things, but if that's true that he said that, no place for hate, makes me want to spit. People live in, I know, who knows? What if I ran for office sometime and I'll be like, there's no place for hate. I'll eat those words. But a phony politician talk, that's phony politician talk. There is a time and place for a little bit of phony politician talk. You know what I mean? I like Trump. I liked how he even, I didn't agree with him disavowing the Proud Boys, because I've never met a Proud Boys who was not a halfway decent guy. I've never met one who didn't seem to be halfway decent. Maybe he had a little bit of indecency. Who doesn't? Psh, please. Please. But those, he's all, I condemn Proud Boys. I don't know anything about them. So innocent, so real. So much less phony politician talk. I'm going to get to more of Trump. If it's the last thing I do, I have like 30 minutes to do it, to do all of this stuff. So let me plow through this mess, okay? So first thing, let me just show this little headline about abortion laws, making women suffer. This guy, this wimp, can I call a guy a wimp? I think that even as a kid, I was able to say wimp. Tommy Viator, probably not a Christian, a blue check mark on Twitter, a blue check mark liberal, right? He tweeted this article from the failing New York Slimes. They had miscarriages and new abortion laws obstructed treatment. Surgical procedures and medication for miscarriages are identical to those for abortion. And some patients reported delayed or denied miscarriage care because of the outlawing of abortion, right? And so Tommy Viator says, this is horrifying and such an evil thing to do to women who are likely already dealing with immense physical and emotional pain. Miscarriages are supposedly common per one Allison Reynolds person, who says 10 to 15 in 100 pregnancies, 10 to 15% end in miscarriage per her. Do politicians know this? And she writes JFC, which is a vulgar slur. Well, it's a vulgar statement. It's a vulgar way of expressing exasperation, right? It's pretending that Jesus has a middle name between Jesus and Christ. So wrong, huh? There are ways to deal with this. I suppose you can blame the Republican politicians, maybe, I don't know. But figure it out. It doesn't mean you'll let them kill the babies, And who knows how true this mess is, right? Who knows how true it is? It's ridiculous. And that is part of the dishonest media. And the killing of the babies and the families. Killing the babies. The far-left female run outlet, The Skim, reports. Who's coming up with a Plan A? And that's a play on words of Plan B, which is the abortion pill. You guys tell me that it's not an abortion pill, but I'm calling it an abortion pill. The morning after you have the sex and you haven't been on birth control and all that stuff, which you shouldn't be anyway, I don't think. You're supposed to be on birth control, they say. So lawmakers is coming up with Plan A, according to the far-left females at The Skim. Yesterday, they say, the House, evil House, voted 228 to 195 to pass the Right to Contraception Act. There is no right to contraception. Legislation that protects access to birth control. Since the Supreme Court's reversal of Roe v. Wade, Democrats are scrambling to federally protect rights after Justice Clarence Thomas called on the court to reconsider rulings that would protect the right to so-called same-sex marriage, which doesn't exist, and the so-called right to contraception. Now, House Democrats are patting themselves on the backs after passing legislation this week to protect federally. They right to federally protect. They're splitting their infinitives there. Both of these rights. They're not rights. It's fake. You're fake news, The Skim. Next up, the bill goes to the Senate, where it's unlikely to get 60 votes required to break a likely filibuster. Well, that's good. We don't need to be like the great Congressman Steve King, former Congressman Steve King. I don't know much about him other than some of the words he's said, which are true words. He spoke true words, and he was kicked out of this He was kicked out of Congress. He's stripped of his committee assignments by rhinos, and the Rhino RNC primaried him. So much for the Republican Party, am I right? Makes me want to spit. A whole lot of spitting I feel like doing today. He said we need to be having more babies, not less. We have a declining birth rate. I played that clip for you earlier this week, I think. You remember that New York Slimes thing with A, B, C, D, E, F? I played these different sections of this New York Slimes hit piece on Congressman Steve King that just showed him to be a decent guy and for what's right and not hating whites. How about some appreciation? How about some white appreciation? Thank you for White History Month. JLP. That's the dishonest media, though. And speaking of the dishonest media, let me show you a couple of examples before I get back to calls and all that stuff. Some biased journalism going on. The first one, biased journalism 1. Remember when I showed you yesterday that picture of like the Tea Party types who are doing their 1776 restoration movement.com, 1776restorationmovement.com photograph. They're walking around the Capitol, and this Patricia Zengerle from Reuters, far left Enemies of America Reuters, she got a wave of January 6th anxiety, hashtag Jan6 anxiety. Just saw this gang of old folks, boomers, Gen Xers, skinny people, nice people, waving American flags. And so some person said, are you okay? Are you safe? And this person called Triple H Report said the same journo, as in journalist, as in propagandist, communist, referred to the violent riots in Portland, Oregon, BLM, that federal officers were deployed to as racial justice protests. This phony woman. Apparently she wasn't in the mix. And so she called it racial justice protests. The actual insurrection around the country, like JLP rightly called it. The Trump administration has mounted a campaign to disperse the racial justice protests, including by sending federal agents into Portland and Seattle, which to this day are facing riots regularly. Thank you, Deontay. Especially Portland, PDX, Oregon. Encouraging federal prosecutors to bring charges. Phony, evil. I told you Reuters is far left. Enemies of America. Here's another example of biased journalism that I came across. This is from Biased Journalism 2A. The Los Angeles Slimes. This was from just a week or so ago, July 16th, 2022. That may be exactly a week ago. Oh, no. Almost a week, exactly. Last Saturday. Far-right groups, so-called far-right, continue anti-abortion demonstrations near Santa Monica Planned Parenthood. And this is an article by Heidi Perez Moreno. Heidi Perez-Moreno. A far-left Los Angeles Slimes writer. Anti-abortion demonstrators by far-right groups in several states in the weeks following the Supreme Court's reversal of Roe v. Wade, including one July 9th near Planned Parenthood Santa Monica Health Center and another planned for this week in Santa Monica, have raised concerns among some law enforcement authorities about potential clashes and outbreaks of violence. One far-right group, American Made Patriots, will hold a Babies Lives Matter protest at Palisades Park in Santa Monica Saturday morning. Last Saturday, right? It happened, apparently, or was going to happen. A representative of the group said, very interesting choice of words calling them far-right. I'm sorry. I thought protecting the babies was pretty basic, center of the road. Right to life. A mother doesn't have a right to kill the child, nor does a doctor. But go down over to Biased Journalism 2B, bam! This woman with the two hyphenated Hispanic last names goes on saying, Saturday's demonstrations follow. It was a protest last week outside Santa Monica Planned Parenthood Clinic in which participants affiliated with the right-wing neo-fascist group, the Proud Boys. Oh, they're neo-fascists, huh? Proud Boys. They're like middle of the road, center left, by and large. A few of them might be like Groiper friendly. Some of them are like, some of them might be alt-right. Well, as alt-right used to be a real thing, right? Some of them might have been white friendly. Proud Boys. Neo-fascist group, Proud Boys. Marking their trademark yellow and black clothing. Proud Boys, when they go to rallies, they're basically there to like protect the innocent from the evil, right? They are expected to turn out at the demonstration in Palisades Park. Maybe they get a little carried away beating down the Antifa evil people. Sometimes, maybe. Or misidentifying some people as Antifa who are not, right? Give me a break. In response, several abortion rights groups, there is no such thing as abortion rights. They're called pro-abortion groups. Across Los Angeles are organizing counter demonstrations outside the health clinic on Saturday. Remember, they said far-right groups, okay? I searched far left in this article. I did not find far left at all in this article. They are still a threat, said Adam Lerman, former JLP guest. Hat tip and shout out to Mike Young, who always regularly or commonly will ask me about such and such old interview. And I found it, by the way. Have not put it out, but Adam Lerman has been on the Jesse Lee Peterson show. A community organizer, she calls him. This writer calls him a community organizer. No, he's a far left communist. I don't think communist was in this. With the Coalition to Defend Affirmative Action, Integration, and Immigrant Rights and Fight for Equality by Any Means Necessary. That's his whole organization. It's a big old mouthful. Or BAM for short, B-A-M-N. Yeah, we had Adam Lerman of BAM. BAM wasn't aware of last week's anti-abortion demonstration in time to form a counter-protest, Lerman said. Since then, the group has shared flyers in social media and spent the week partnering with other local abortion rights advocacy organizations, meaning pro-abortion organizations. Either you're if these people, the pro-lifers, you're gonna call them anti-abortion, then call them pro-baby killing organizations. Be honest, journalist. I guess that's asking too much of a journalist, to be honest, right? Deport the journalists, right? Here's what Adam Lerman went on to say. If we don't act, they're definitely going to continue to grow and feel bolder and feel more capable, said Lerman, referring to far-right groups. These are not far-right. They're like center, sometimes cringy center. But anyway. Lerman, not a Christian, by the way. Not Christian at all. In fact, I think he's an atheist. You'll see that if and when we put that out on the Jesse Lee Peterson YouTube channel and elsewhere. Alternative video platforms, too. Social media posts of the July 9th demonstrations in Santa Monica include videos of members of right-wing affiliated groups, some carrying weapons such as knives and sap gloves, outside the Planned Parenthood clinic. Sap gloves are those gloves that have like some toughening. Sometimes it's metal protecting the your knuckles. I guess that's what sap gloves are. I don't know what sap stands for. But I'm sorry, you have a right to carry a knife. You have a right to carry a gun. You have a right to have sap gloves. But, let's demonize them. Let's pretend that's extremist. Meanwhile, Antifa is stabbing people. Remember that Antifa transgender person, or whatever he was, trying to be a she, whatever it was, stabbed a Hispanic dude in the chest near the heart? I think he might have even punctured his heart a little. Crazy, huh? Anyway, phony, dishonest media. Very, very, very dishonest. Oh, man. Okay, let me get to Frederick, a first-time caller in California, on the line. Frederick, how are you?
Hey, how you doing, Hake?
Fine.
Good. Happy White History Month.
Indeed. Happy White History Month to you as well.
Yes. Okay, so I wanted to speak a little bit about, the J6 committee and how much that ties into the Trilateral Commission, a.k.a. the Bilderberg Group.
Okay. What?
It is. Can you hear me?
Oh, you're cutting out a little bit. Go ahead.
Oh, crap.
Go ahead and make your point, and we'll see if it works.
Okay.
Try to make it quick.
So,
I have to rush you, unfortunately, because I'm trying to get to a lot. My mistake.
So that's fine. They tie into the Bilderberg Group for one reason, and that's due to Operation Mockingbird.
Okay.
Do you know anything about?
I've heard of it. People can look it up, I think. Yeah, I've heard of it many times over the years.
Yeah, well, it's been over the years. It's been happening since probably right around the 1960s.
Uh-huh.
Especially during John F. Kennedy, and it's still operating today. We see a lot of the propaganda that's just been following for the years. When you have what you just talked about, when Antifa, when they call them the myth, and now the other side is deemed bad and
far right,
fascist and stuff like that. Yeah, far right. Yeah. That's
interesting.
That's all that is. I mean, a lot of people already know this. It's all propaganda.
Yeah, it is. It really is. So true.
Yeah, it really is. Yeah, but the propaganda is making them millions because they're actually making money off of these prime time shows and stuff like that.
Huh.
To stop the whole thing. I'm trying to make this point quick, especially when it comes to global forces, because the global forces are the ones that are trying to, demean America, and that's just all around the globe because they follow the exact same script. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Okay,
Build Back Better and LGBTQ rights, anti-racism, all that stuff. Global warming. Uh-huh.
Yeah.
And then the tactics too.
The tactic is the Machiavelli trait. Deny again. They're actually following what they were, but they seem as if they're making it seem as if they're against it, but they actually are for it. They're actually for segregation. They're actually for demeaning the American people of their rights.
Yeah.
This is what they're all about, to keep that force going.
Yep.
So that they can take away human rights. It's not even about American issues. This is about taking away rights. Because what happens in America is going to affect the rest of the world because we are the greatest country.
Yeah. True. So they're connected to the Bilderberg Group by way of Operation Mockingbird?
Yes, of course they are. Yes. Which is the news media. The news media is a part of it. A lot of the other, cannon fodder constituents, that you see, they're all part of it too. They're following the same script. So funny how back in the National Socialist days, where they wanted to take away, the rights of the people, they took away public safety. Because that's the
you're cutting out. You're cutting out a bit much for my taste, man. But I appreciate the point that you're making. And
can you still hear me?
I can hear you, but it cuts out every fifth or seventh or 10th word or something. But anyway, Frederick, I appreciate your call. Do call me again when you can from a good place.
Okay.
And I'll hear from you next week, hopefully.
Hopefully. All right.
Have a good weekend, man. Thank you.
You as well.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Guys, I have to cover this. I have to, now that he mentioned the J6 committee's stuff. Here is, first, before I get to the J6 thing, this kill the police thing that they're going for. They're just, I know that a lot of you guys don't want to support the police, I get it, but the far left females at the Skim say, and this is so laughable, where there's accountability, Minneapolis. No, ladies. Yesterday, a federal judge sentenced former police officer Thomas Lane, Lane. That's the other white male cop out of Minneapolis with the Georgia-Florida case, to 2.5 years in prison. I'm shaking my head, these corrupt federal judges. Lane was one of 4 officers involved in the May 2020 death of 46-year-old Georgia, Florida. Very fake news. They were involved how? Like they showed up on the scene and called an ambulance for him and held him down because he didn't want to be cooped up in the police cruiser. So he said, put me on the ground. I can't breathe. He was overdosing. Now, after the first white cop of 2, they went after the white cops first. Maybe just a coincidence. It may be. I don't know. Derek Chauvin, remember Derek Chauvin? Chin Up King. Was sentenced on so-called criminal charges and for violating Georgia, Florida's imaginary civil rights. Thomas Lane, pray for Thomas Lane too, during White History Month. He's also being charged for violating his rights and by not providing Floyd medical care. I'm sorry, they called the ambulance for him. I'm laughing because of the way I said it. I learned that maybe from JLP. Not providing him medical care. You're a cop. It's called law enforcement. Stupid. Sorry, kids. I couldn't help it. I'm not sorry, but Floyd's so-called family called it insulting. You're insulting. That the sentencing fell short of the more than 5 years that prosecutors had asked for. Corrupt prosecutors. Next up, former officers Tu Tao and J. Alexander Kung, the 2 like Asian guys. I don't remember what they are, but you know they're scheduled to be sentenced on so-called civil charges as well. I remember when those cops, those Baltimore cops, were all charged, right? Including some black cops, including some black female cops, if I remember right, in the Freddie Gray case. But I think they were all exonerated or charges dropped or something. But no, not so. The commies are pounding and breaking through and killing actual justice in this country. It's such a shame, you know? By the way, polio is coming back, I hear. This is a quote. Many of you may be too young to remember, according to Commie Nonsense Network, but when I was growing up, the disease struck fear in families, including my own. The fact that it is still around decades after the vaccine was created shows you just how relentless it is, says Ed Day, county executive for Rockland, New York, urging people get vaccinated against polio after a person from the county was diagnosed with the first case of polio identified in the United States in nearly a decade. The unvaccinated young adult began experiencing weakness and paralysis about a month ago, health officials said. About 1 in 4 affected... So be afraid. No, don't be afraid. About 1 in 4 infected people have flu-like symptoms, but as many as 1 in 200 develop more serious symptoms that include numbness in the legs, and infection of the brain or spinal cord, and paralysis, the CDC said. No cure for polio. Paralysis caused by the disease is permanent. Is that what FDR had? That communist? Don't know. Man, oh man, oh man. And here's the January 6th propaganda. We're at 6 minutes till. Let's play clip 11. This is the based Trump not wanting to say what he didn't want to say. NBC News YouTube video. This is a phony woman, representative, some female, trying to smear Trump. Listen to this.
We obtained the never-before-seen raw footage of the president recording his address to the nation that day on January 7th, more than 24 hours after the last time he had addressed the nation from the Rose Garden. Let's take a look.
Okay.
Whenever you're ready, sir.
He's trying to read his little speech, teleprompter speech.
I would like to begin by addressing the heinous attack yesterday. And to those who broke the law, you will pay. You do not represent our movement. You do not represent our country. And if you broke the law, Can't say that. I'm not going to. I already said you will pay. The demonstrators who infiltrated the Capitol have defied the seat of justice. It's defiled, right? See, I can't see it very well. Okay, I'll do this. I'm going to do this. Let's go. But this election is now over. Congress has certified the results. I don't want to say the election's over. I just want to say Congress has certified the results without saying the election's over, okay?
Nice. That's right, Trump.
Congress is certified. Now Congress is
Yeah, right.
Now Congress
I didn't say over, so let me see. Go to the paragraph before. Okay?
Based Trump.
I would like to begin by addressing the heinous attack yesterday. Yesterday is a hard word for me.
Just take the heinous attack.
Good. Take the word yesterday, because it doesn't
We don't
work
like
with
reading.
the heinous attack on our country. Say on our country. Want to say that?
No, keep it.
My only goal was to ensure the integrity of the vote.
True.
My only
Very
goal
true.
was to ensure the integrity of the vote.
Nice.
On January 7th, one day after he incited an insurrection based on a lie, President
No, he
Trump
didn't.
still could not say that the election was over.
Based Trump. That lady doesn't look like a Christian to me. So those were the horrifying outtakes. Give me a break. And here, do I have clip 13? Let me play clip 13 here. And then I got to end. We got to end. But here's security footage. She's trying to also smear Josh Hawley. Based Josh Hawley, or is he? I don't know. Here it is from Washington
Senator Josh
Compost.
Hawley also had to flee. Earlier that afternoon, before the joint session started, he walked across the east front of the Capitol.
Oh, the horror.
As you can see in this photo, he raised his fist in solidarity with the protesters already amassing
Nice.
at the security gates. We spoke
Right
with
on.
a Capitol police officer who was out there at the time. She told us
Female.
that Senator Hawley's gesture riled up the crowd, and it
Oh.
bothered her greatly because he was doing it in a safe space, protected by the officers and the barriers.
Now you know how
Later
BLM
that day, Senator Hawley
Cops.
fled after those protesters he helped to rile up stormed the Capitol. See for
feels.
yourself.
Riled them up. Oh, he jogged. There he is jogging. Oh, the horror. Give me a break. There he is jogging lightly down the stairs. At what point is she trying to make? Oh, he riled the protesters, which she's just showing, yes, right on guys. Anyway, phony, huh? So phony. This has been the Hake Report, guys. Rick in Maine wanted to bring a tip for us. Maze in Dayton, Ohio. Oh, he found it. That wanted something to say to the women haters. I can't get to you. There ain't no monkeys in my family tree. Adios, guys.
No monkeys in my family tree. The monkeys in the vines, and you'll see them up in trees. You can even see them right there on the TV. They claim that Jonah never lived in the belly of a whale, that our ancestors walked around dragging their tails. I don't know about them, but I know about me. There ain't no monkeys in my family tree. When you see some monkeys, they look kinda cute, but not when they're wearing a tie and a suit. Big book of lines and a fancy degree, trying to make a monkey out of me. No, no, no. Some monkeys are honest and some monkeys are crooks. Some of those monkeys even write dishonest monkey books. They'll say that Jesus' miracles